Hey guys, it's the phenomenal STEMist. We're here. It's 8 o'clock. As I promised, we're going to be doing interviews of different professionals. So I haven't seen anybody join us yet. I think one person is watching. Welcome to Phenomenal STEMist. Here I have Mr. Adrian Brown. Mr. Adrian Brown. Say hi, Adrian.
Hi, how are you doing? Hi, everyone. Thank you, Maria, for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share.
Oh man, I just appreciate that you took this opportunity to come on Facebook Live.
My pleasure.
I'm just going to introduce you and basically your credentials. Adrian went to Miami-Dade College in Miami, and he got his associates in biology. And then sorry?
I said, yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. And then he went on to USF to do his bachelor's in chemical engineering. So this is an example of a young man that, went to state college first, did not go straight to university, went to state college first, got his AA, and then transitioned on to a BS in chemical engineering. Then he got his master's in environmental engineering from Johns Hopkins. So this is a scientist, environmental engineering and science. He got his master's in science degree. This is a straight engineer and scientist, and I'm proud to say that he is a Black man of Jamaican descent.
Yes.
Adrian Brown. Anybody here? I see like one person. Come on in. It's Sunday night at 8. He has his professional engineering license. So he doesn't just have a degree in engineering, but he also has a license. He's a licensed engineer. Just like a medical doctor has to get his license, a nurse has to get her license, his or her license. Yeah, Adrian is a professional licensed engineer.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so happy that he's here. So we're just going to get right into it. So when did you fall in love with your discipline, Adrian? When did you fall in love with engineering?
Well, that's kind of like a roundabout question because, as you saw, I started at Miami-Dade and I pursued an associate's in biology because at that time I was thinking about going to medical school. And while I was at Miami-Dade, I was tutoring some students that have learning disabilities. So a lot of them, I remember one student, he was in a car accident, had some head injuries, and so he developed a learning disability from that. And so I was tutoring math, and based on that experience, the students were telling me, oh, you should probably do something in math. And, chemistry was one of my strongest subjects in high school. My chemistry teacher had suggested that I should pursue something that's applied. And so I decided to pursue chemical engineering because it's a combination of the math and the chemistry. And so I decided to pursue chemical engineering as a backup plan if medical school didn't work out. After a lot of praying and, deliberation, I decided I was going to pursue engineering because of the problem-solving component. And, here I am. I started off working at the health department, so I didn't necessarily go to medical school, but I was working at the health department, which is the Southern Nevada Health District in Las Vegas, in the environmental engineering, where there's an intersection between public health and environmental engineering. And then here I am back in Florida 12 years later.
Hold on one second. I think that they said they're not hearing you well. Talk again, Adrian. Can you talk?
Okay, you want me to start over?
No, don't start over, but talk a little louder. Okay.
Is this better, or should I speak louder?
I think this is a little better. It should be a little better. Okay. Yeah. It's my fault. I had the mic low. And apparently it didn't come forth that well. Okay, so basically you started off as a biology major for medicine, as it's like everybody does that. I did that as well. I was a bio major at Oakwood, and I wanted to be pre-med. I think that's the standard that everybody does. but then you started to see what you were good at, and you were great in math.
Yeah, engineering wasn't necessarily an option for me in high school. Mind you, there were a few students that pursued engineering, but I just didn't consider it. My primary goal was medicine. But then when I was tutoring these students, and I kind of developed a love for math and chemistry and the engineering, I decided to do chemical engineering.
Wow. And it's, to be honest, people usually start off in bio because it's easier. Like when we think about engineering and chemical engineering, it's like, it's hard. Like, why would you switch to something harder?
Frankly, chemical engineering is the longest of all of the engineering disciplines. So it actually took me 5 years to complete the program.
Wow.
72 credit hours because of the length. You have to take all of the chemistries. So that's physical, inorganic, organic, and then you have to take the engineering classes to go along with the math. So, you know, it's a pretty lengthy program. Yeah,
but you did it.
Yes, you know, I decided that if I was going to start the program, I was going to finish.
I love that. If you're going to start the program, you were going to finish, no matter how hard it seems, right? No need for shortcuts, right?
Exactly, because it was really tough.
I
remember my final year, I didn't sleep for like 3 days.
Wow.
Of all of the work that we had to do. And I was going to USF at the time, and as a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, you know, we don't really study on Sabbaths. And my project teammate, she would say to me, when you finish your church service on Saturday evening when the sun sets, you have to be on campus because you have to get these simulations going. So I would leave the AYS program and I would go on campus, and we would be working on those simulations like the whole Saturday night, and I would go home like in the wee hours of Sunday morning.
Wow.
Yeah, we're still very good friends today. She's actually an engineer with the city of Houston.
Wow. So you were committed, like you were committed to God. So you worship on the Sabbath, and it wasn't just, you know, a couple of hours in the morning. And you literally, like, from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, you committed to God, and then you basically went straight to work.
Exactly.
That shows commitment.
Exactly, because, you know, a lot of my class members, they were drinking the mountain, you know, the Mountain Dew and a lot of those energy drinks to try to stay up. And you know what I did?
What?
I just drank a lot of water.
A lot of water. Yeah.
Because I had to go to the bathroom.
Drinking water would keep you up because you had to go to the bathroom. That is hilarious. That is a beautiful way to let people know, listen, you don't need caffeine. You don't need like energy drinks. A lot of that.
I'm not saying it would work for everybody, but it did work for me.
It worked for you. It worked for you. So you basically fell in love with engineering because you were good at it in high school, and you were good at it in college. Is that why you fell in love with it?
Because of my love for chemistry.
Because you love chemistry. Yeah.
That was one of the primary drivers.
Yeah. So
and I really wanted to finish a bachelor's degree program that was a profession. Where I could get a decent paying job when I completed the program.
Absolutely. That is a wise decision. A lot of us, you're just in school, just taking classes and have no idea you're paying all kinds of money. And I like your track. As I said before, you went to state schools, you went to small, you know, well, Miami-Dade is not really small, but, you know, it doesn't cost a lot of money. I teach at something like Miami-Dade in Orlando, and it costs like $5,000 a year to go to where I teach. So, and you took your time with it, and you finished. You didn't just go, you finished.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. All right, I have another question for you. What I see a lot of people join finally. Thanks guys for joining. Curlin, my dad, Rochelle, Corey. Thanks for your compliments. They're just saying that how you know, they're really impressed by what you did. They're just like, it's really impressive. And they said that, you know, you were very dedicated to your, you know, showed dedication for you. So these are just some of the things that they're saying, just to let you know.
Okay, God is good. God is good.
All right. So
once you set out to do something, I think you should complete it, unless directed otherwise.
I like that. So I'll say that again. You say that again.
Once you set out to achieve a goal,
you
should pursue it unless directed otherwise.
Keep pursuing it and complete it unless directed otherwise. I love that. All right, number 2. What tools did you use to discipline yourself? Like, how did you discipline? So we already know about the water. So you just drank a lot of water to keep yourself up. What other tools did you use to discipline yourself?
Well, I had a timetable, because apart from the rigor of the engineering curriculum, I had on-campus jobs. So I did research. I used to work in orientation. I was an RA. And so I had a timetable that I would follow. And along with that, I had like small rewards. So at the end of every semester, I would go somewhere. So I would have something to look forward to as a reward. I'm going to go to this restaurant, I'm going to eat out, I'm going to go visit this family member or a friend. So it was something to look forward to at the end of the semester. And that kind of kept me motivated.
I like that. So you know it's rigorous and it's hard, but you say, okay, if I just do this, I will have a reward at the end, and it will be something that you will do for yourself. It's more than just the A or B that you get.
Wow. A little treat.
I love that. That's a great idea, guys. So those of you who are in college, you got to reward yourself, especially in STEM, because STEM can be very stressful. STEM can be very stressful. So the fact that, you give yourself a reward every semester, that keeps you going. That's an excellent idea. Excellent idea.
Because there are other majors that, unfortunately, they have a lot of time on their hands. And I'm not going to be denigrating the other majors.
Right.
But unfortunately, there were football games that I could not attend. There were on-campus events that, unfortunately, I was unable to participate in because of the rigor of the program.
Right.
And especially your last 2 years, you have a lot of projects that you have to do. And so you really have to manage your time well. And the group members are kind of depending on people to do their part.
Right.
Because nobody wants their grade to be impacted by somebody who is not contributing, and their grade suffers because of that.
I love that. And that's a consistency. I heard that last week with Chris, who was also engineer. You miss out in college. You can't go to every single game. You can't go to, there's some things that you have to compromise with, but what you gave was a motivation to make it through. So we know we have in STEM, like, a lot of the times you're taking 21 hours. You have labs. Like you said, you were our RA. You were in research. What I gather that from you is you did all those things to help financially pay for your school.
I finished my undergraduate degree program with no student loan.
Say that again. I finished what?
I finished my undergraduate program with no student loan debt.
No student loan debt. 5-year university program. You know how he did it? He was a RA, which they pay for your room and board. He did research, which I did research in college as well. They gave me a good amount of money to do those things, like a stipend. That's right. And scholarships. And when you do that, when you work really hard and diversify yourself, you can go to school for free.
Exactly. And then some of the scholarships require for you to maintain a particular GPA as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it requires you to be working hard. And so I like that. You created motivation post-semester for yourself. I like that. Any other tools that you use to discipline yourself?
Well, I'm sure you've heard about grit.
Yeah, that's a big thing now.
Very, very important. You have to, mind you, do the best that you can. But then you also have to look at your study habits. Like, for example, take breaks. Even while I'm studying, I have little treats. Okay, I finished this chapter. I'm going to get, something like a cookie or something just to keep me going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get from you, you had to develop perseverance, whatever tools it took to make you stay, because a lot of people don't finish in STEM. They start, but they don't finish as it gets hard. But
exactly. And then especially for engineering, there's the prerequisite courses that tend to quote weed out the students.
Right,
so that's
right.
The calculus and the calculus-based physics, and the engineering statistics and economics.
Right.
Because engineering is a limited access program.
Mm-hmm.
So they just don't admit everybody into the department that would want to pursue it as a major. You have to complete certain classes with a particular GPA to continue in the program.
That's right. And you have to do well to get into the program. So how do you do that? You can't play around. You can't play around. And it's worth it. It's worth it in the end. Just
most definitely is.
Just give yourself some, I like that. Give yourself some treats in between before you get to the end to keep going. I love that. Okay. So give me some challenges while you were in school. What were some challenges for you?
Well, you mean apart from the rigor of the program, obviously there were some financial challenges as well.
Okay.
I remember sometimes, when the tuition was supposed to be paid and there's a late fee. And like, for example, I would want to apply for like a summer program, and there's a hold on my transcript because there's an outstanding balance.
Okay.
And so, I'm working over the summer as an orientation team leader, and I'm doing the best that I can to pay that off. So there were some financial challenges for me as well, and I really can't think of anything else.
Yeah, somebody asked a question for you. Simone asked, were there naysayers? And how did you deal with it? Like, were people telling you couldn't do it?
For me, no.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't say that. Mind you, when I decided to pursue research, one of the professors initially wasn't very welcoming.
Okay.
I showed up at his office. I was interested in research. He was very dismissive, and I decided I wasn't going to go back. But my advisor at the time said, "You're a Christian. I think you should forgive him and return." And I thought about it, and I said, well, I have to demonstrate forgiveness. And so I returned, and he referred me to another professor in another lab, because he said he would get requests from students every semester that they wanted to do research, and they're not really disciplined, they're not committed, and when they're given tasks, they don't follow through. And so I don't know if he looked at my ethnicity as an indication, but I felt that way at the time. But it worked out, because the professor that he referred me to, I did research in the lab and ended up presenting my research at a conference in LA and got an award for it.
Wow, so I love that.
It all worked out.
Yeah, whatever somebody meant for evil. That's what I always said that. I'm surprised that, was your advisor a Christian?
Yes, he was.
Okay, wow.
But the professor that was dismissive
probably wasn't.
Was.
Yeah. I mean, that was amazing that the advisor pushed you anyway. Sometimes advisors don't help you, but in this case, advisors actually pushed you. And even though he still was not, how do I say, supportive of you, this mentor, what he meant for evil, God still turned it around for good. Everything works together for good, even when people are not. Yeah, that's the beauty of life. If you stay in the plan, that even the bad people, the people who are for your, like, I remember when I was trying to get a job, and I believe that had to do with my race as well, because I would always get, they would eat up my resume because I was very qualified, and then as soon as they see me, then we're not really looking for someone right now, but it led me to my perfect career. And if I had, sometimes people have to tell you no to lead you to your perfect career.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you just gotta you deal with the bad. What I'm getting from you is whatever bad that you're getting, you deal with it by knowing that all things will work together.
Work together for good.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly where that is concerned.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, do you have any challenges now? What are your challenges now?
Wow. Very good question. Well, I'm a practicing environmental engineer, and
Okay.
so regulations are always changing.
Before you talk about regulations changing, tell me about what you do. What do you do?
So I work for aerospace manufacturing facilities. So we make aircraft for the U.S. government along with some foreign allies. And my primary responsibility is to make sure that the facility operates in compliance with EPA regulations.
So take your time. Hold on one second. You work for the aerospace company?
The aerospace.
Like, isn't that like rocket science? Is that a?
Well, the facility that I work at does not. We don't manufacture rockets.
Okay, what do you manufacture?
We manufacture aircraft.
Aircraft. Okay.
Surveillance aircraft.
Oh, like drones and stuff?
Not drones.
Okay.
It's a warning surveillance aircraft.
Okay.
It doesn't have any weapons on it, but what it does, it scans the underneath the water, it scans the air. It's normally the aircraft carrier, and it's the warning system. So if there's enemy, it will detect that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, pretty cool. And so, what do you do with that?
So at this point, with it, as I mentioned, the changes in the regulations, oftentimes there's resistance to change because they're constantly changing, and then there's a political angle because unfortunately some individuals are very resistive to EPA regulations, and I'm sure you watch the news and hear about deregulation and the EPA being sued and the regulations changing, and oftentimes I'm tasked with working with the facility to make sure that they're in compliance.
Okay.
And so oftentimes it can be a challenge implementing changes, and
because you're an environmental engineer, so like you have to make sure that whatever type of machines they are creating, they are up to the standards to protect the environment.
Correct. So in terms of the manufacturing process, we generate a lot of hazardous waste.
Okay.
We generate wastewater. We have hazardous air pollutants that's emitted into the atmosphere. Mind you, we have permit limits that we have to comply with. But like, for example, if they're going to be changing a part of the manufacturing process, we have to make sure that before the change occurs, that there will not be an adverse environmental impact. And then there's a reporting aspect. There's the training aspect because you have like mechanics and lab folks and a lot of different groups. And so I spend a lot of time training individuals and translating technical information into layman's terminology so they can understand what the
they need to do.
Exactly.
Wow. So look at this. When people think of engineer, they think of, like last week we were talking about building things, but with you're dealing with a lot of people.
Yes, because the people are involved in acting and making changes, and so we have to make sure that they're aware of what their responsibilities are.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, that's the diversity of engineering. Like, you can't just pigeonhole yourself. There's all kinds of opportunities once you become a professional engineer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There are disciplines.
Right.
Just like when you go to your doctor, you have your cardiologist, you have a dermatologist, you have your, internal medicine or family medicine. You have different engineering disciplines. Mind you, there's some overlaps.
Right.
Like, for example, with my chemical engineering undergraduate degree, I'm very versed on, chemicals and interactions, compatibility, and processes. For the environmental aspect, you're looking at, okay, what is the environmental impact? What is the public health impact?
Right.
How am I going to manage this process to not adversely impact public health and the environment?
Exactly. So now you know about chemicals, you know what chemicals do with your bachelor's, and then you do a master's in environmental engineering where there's a connection, and then you get a job at Northrop Grumman, which is an aerospace company, making sure that they do the right thing with those chemicals.
Exactly. So prior to Northrop Grumman, I was with as I mentioned, the Southern Nevada Health District in Las Vegas. So I was heavily involved in the regulatory aspect.
Right.
So for 9 years, I was a regulator. So I would be the one that would be doing the enforcement and the permitting, and the people would call in, oh, this gas is coming from that plant that's making me sick. And,
right.
The outbreak investigations, and we try to figure out, okay, what's causing, some of these adverse impacts, as relates to water quality, air quality, and, contaminated soil and what have you.
Right.
So that was a regulatory component. But for me, I wanted to have a rounded professional career. I didn't want to be
stuck
for my entire career. So I decided to make the transition to the private sector. And so I left the Southern Nevada Health District after 9 years and worked at a chemical plant in Louisiana for 2 years.
Okay.
That was the Dow Chemical Company for 2 years. So that was a chemical plant where I was one of the associate environmental managers there. But it's always been my dream to be back in Florida. So when the opportunity presented itself at Northrop Grumman, I relocated here a little over a year ago.
Wow. So your personal life decided also what you wanted to do, and you had that flexibility. You can say, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go to Florida. And as soon as the opportunity comes, you can actually take it.
Well, you look at the opportunity and you determine if this is what you would like to.
Okay. If it's worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you like the most? What's your favorite part?
At this point, the favorite thing about my job is I am working to protect public health and the environment.
Okay.
Like, for example, at the facility where I work, we discharge directly to a river. And if there's a compliance issue, then you could contaminate groundwater, you could contaminate surface water. And so I am very much into protecting public health. And engineers, as a licensed engineer, your utmost concern is to safeguard the health of the public,
right,
health and welfare of the public. That is your primary responsibility.
I mean, it's amazing, like you're saying, the job of a licensed environmental engineer is to protect the public from dangerous chemicals, ultimately.
Not necessarily dangerous chemicals.
Oh, but okay.
Overall health, because health is a spectrum.
Okay.
So for the full spectrum of health is from the environment to the community to the individual.
Yeah.
So, but every licensed engineer, based on their ethical responsibility, because you're in a position of public trust,
right,
make sure that the designs that you come up with, the decisions that you make, because you're a technical professional, that you don't adversely impact the safety, health, and welfare of the public.
Okay, so an engineer, period. Okay, so like an HVAC engineer wants to make sure that the environment in the building where the HVAC things are superb for the people in the building.
Correct, because that would be an indoor air quality issue.
Right.
That would be an indoor air quality
I was looking at, I'm really learning how many types of engineers you have. Like, there's so many types of engineers, and like in the top 20 of most highest paid people, like 19 of them are engineers. It's crazy.
Well, there are multiple disciplines.
Multiple disciplines that have great careers. Let me go to the audience. I see a lot of people, and they're like saying, "Oh, this is great, impressive, amen." They love, thanks for joining. I see Adrian and Cadian and Curlin and Julian and my cousin Rochelle. All these people are here just looking at you, a successful engineer. Are there any questions, guys? Do you have any questions for Adrian? Any questions for Adrian? I think there are usually a lot of comments, and they're just pretty impressed with who you are. as a professional. But I don't see any questions.
But let me take this opportunity
Okay.
to kind of explain. You do have engineers that practice that do not have a license.
Okay.
And there's what's called the industrial exemption. So if you're working in private industry, there are certain aspects that you do not have to have a license to practice. Mind you, this is up for debate because engineers do affect product, they do affect a lot of services that they and technical decision making could affect the public. But when the laws were made regarding engineering licensing, they came up with what was called the industrial exemption. So essentially, if there's an issue, then the employer would take liability.
Versus the engineer himself.
Like, for example, exactly.
Okay.
But I'm sure you've seen instances where, unfortunately, there have been some unscrupulous practices among engineers. Like, for example, look at the situation with Volkswagen, where there were some emission calculations that were not
lied about. Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
And they were prosecuted based on that. That would be an ethical breach. And a licensed engineer, you have ethical standards that you have to uphold. You have continuing education requirements that you have to meet. Like for the state of Florida, you have to have 30 hours of continuing engineering education to renew your license. And you have to take 2 classes of engineering rules and ethics every 2 years.
Right. To keep up with your license.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But there are certain things that only a licensed engineer is allowed to sign off and to see. Like, for example, permits to the state and to EPA have to be certified by a licensed professional engineer, because that person is going to be held accountable if, for example, the emission calculations are not correct.
Not true, yeah.
Or if there's an issue there, you could have a release to the community, or you could contaminate surface water or groundwater and cause an exposure situation. So in a lot of those instances, they require a licensed professional engineer to certify those plans and those documents, because it's upon that person to make sure
right.
that everything is done in an ethical manner.
So basically, a licensed engineer just is held to a higher standard, and are you more likely to be hired if you have a license versus not?
Oh, yes. Anybody who's going to be going to engineering school, I would highly recommend that they pursue licensing.
Okay.
Because there's a 2-step process. When you finish your undergraduate degree, you take what's called the Fundamentals of Engineering exam. When I took it, it was an 8-hour exam. Now it was a paper and pencil exam. Now it's a computer-based exam. So it's a 6-hour exam. After you've taken the Fundamentals of Engineering exam, you have to acquire 4 years of professional engineering experience working under a licensed engineer.
Okay.
Then you have to apply to the state licensing board that you would want to obtain your license from. And then you have to, take the state exam because every state is different. The
right.
laws are different.
And you're in Florida, Nevada. You've gotten licensed
so I'm licensed in Nevada, Louisiana, and Florida.
Okay.
So every state that I've lived, I've obtained my license.
You had to take an exam for it every time, or?
Exactly. But
wow.
Once you have your PE license in one state, you can get reciprocity in other states.
Okay.
But what the individual state is going to do, they're going to require for you to take the state law exam.
Okay.
Because the laws of Florida are different from the laws of Louisiana and from Nevada. There are certain things that are different, so you have to be mindful of that. And then in the field of environmental engineering, there are specific state laws that you have to be
knowledgeable about.
Like, for example, California is very, very stringent.
And
and the other states, depending on what the state laws are, you have to be mindful of those as well.
Wow. So a lot of us want to get away from testing, but what I'm getting from you is that it's time to stop being afraid of testing, because you'll be taking quite a few tests to make yourself the most qualified engineer. Am I right?
You have to prove your competence.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that you have to take a standardized test, because the licensing exam is a national exam that you take. And then you take the state-specific exam as well.
Yeah.
But there's a built-in component for continuing education, because technology changes.
Yeah, things change.
Religion changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, specifications change, and you have to keep up with all of these changes for you to be a competent, licensed engineering professional.
And just understand that. And so basically, you have to be motivated. What I'm gathering from you is that, listen, just take the steps, do what you can, go get your associates, get your bachelor's, get your master's, but you can't stop at just getting your degree. You have to get your license. You have to, so you have to get used to this concept of testing and understand it is just to show your competence. Right?
Exactly. And then if you're going to be placed in a position of public trust, you know, you have to
show competence.
And go into a doctor.
Okay,
he doesn't have a license to practice medicine. Right. That's a life and death situation.
Absolutely.
You know, if you go into an attorney, you would want the attorney to be licensed, because you could go to jail, or you
right.
Very,
you want to make sure they're competent. Absolutely.
With every profession, you know, there's certain standards that you have to meet.
Yeah. I have a question for you. Curlin is asking, is it a 9 to 5, or do you have flexible hours?
Oh, well, at my current job, it's a 980 schedule. So let me kind of explain that. So I work from 6, I know it's early, from 6 to 3:30, Monday to Thursday, and 6 to 2:30 on Fridays, and then I'm off every other Friday and the weekend.
I love that.
It's off, so every other weekend I have a 3-day weekend. I have the Friday off.
You can't be you.
I have to get up early.
6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
And so I have to be up early, but it depends on the facility.
Right.
Because and it depends on the employer. Some engineering firms, they tend to have you have like half days on Fridays, or you can work from home if you'd like. Like, for example, when I was with the Dow Chemical Company, I could work from home if I wanted to. You know, it was a 980 schedule as well. So it all depends on the flexibility that your employer provides.
But that's pretty good. Like, you can't beat me. I'm off every Friday. So every Friday I have a 3-day weekend.
Most of the engineers at my facility are on 410 schedule.
Okay.
So they just work Monday to Thursday, and they're off every Friday.
Yeah. There's great flexibility in STEM, guys. Not to say that other careers don't have flexibility, but once you go through the pressure of all of that you've gone through, getting all those degrees, taking all those tests, trust me, I'm telling you, there's great flexibility in the career itself. It's pretty good.
And I think the important thing is you invest 4 or 5 years and enjoy the benefits for the next 50.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Invest the first 4 or 5 years and then love the next 50. I love it.
Exactly, because it's unfortunate that some individuals might think, okay, you really don't need to go through the rigor of a STEM program, but you know, it's the way to go. We're in dire need of STEM professionals, and especially minorities are, you know, underrepresented.
Right.
Because unfortunately, I don't know. I think we have to start at the middle school.
Yeah.
We have to start at middle school.
Yeah.
Because that's normally where the gaps start to develop, and then it carries over to high school, and then, you know, they might not be able or be prepared to deal with the rigor of a STEM program in college.
Yeah, that's my target. That's my target group. My target group is Black boys in middle school, and parents of Black boys in middle school, but also middle school in general, because this is the time. Sometimes it's too early to deal with STEM. Like, kindergarten and stuff like that. Their brain, they should be doing a lot of reading. They should be doing a lot of reading at that age, learning languages at that age. And what it's doing is actually developing the left side of their brain, which involves an analysis for math. But once you get to middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, where the most distractions are, I like, get rid of all. I tell people that no girl should be calling a boy in the 6th grade, like no distractions. They need to focus on their math and their science, heavy math, heavy science early. And the sports as well, they target them early in middle school. You have boys doing football practice all kinds of hours. And I'm like, no, math and science, because the gap starts there for real. The gap starts there. So if we can train our parents to basically say, no, coach, whatever your name is, my son cannot do football over his tutoring for math. We got to get tutoring. We got to make sure they're prepared for middle school.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you get them exposed.
Yeah.
You know, have them talk to just this program that you have them meet with people who are actually in the profession.
Right.
And let them have a conversation.
Right.
So that they can understand what opportunities are out there.
Yeah, guys, share this video. Like, there's all of you are here, but I haven't seen any shares yet. You guys got to share this video. Share it, like it, love it. I see a lot of likes and loves. Share it so that people can see a professional engineer. By
the way, that is a protected title.
It is.
And I don't want to go off on a tangent.
Okay.
But it's a challenge that we're facing in the engineering community at this point, because anybody can get up and say, I'm an engineer.
Right.
You can't do that if you're a doctor.
Good point.
If you're an attorney.
Right.
You can't do that if you're a CPA.
Right.
And so, you know, unfortunately, I think engineering has been grappling with this for quite some time. Like, for example, a train operator is referred to as an
operating engineer. That's right.
Engineering school.
Yeah.
You know, sanitary engineer.
Yeah.
That collects, you know, the garbage. You know, oftentimes you're given that term.
Right.
And so I think the public is very confused about
what an engineer is. I like that.
So I think there's opportunity for public awareness,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where, you know, engineering is concerned. And one thing I want to mention for those who want to pursue engineering as a major in college, please ensure that the program is accredited, because there are programs out there that are not accredited, and you will have problems when you try to pursue your license.
Right.
Like, for example, the program should be ABET accredited, which is the Accrediting Board for Engineering and Technology.
Okay.
So you can go on abet.org and you can search by state, and it will tell you all of the ABET accredited programs. Like, for example, I won't name the school, but there was a school in South Florida that had a chemical engineering program that lost its accreditation. And a friend of mine transferred from that program to USF because that program in South Florida
was not accredited. Okay.
It's ABET accreditation. So that's a very important thing to look at. Just like when you're going to a medical school or a law school, or, you know, you want to make sure, or nursing program, you want to make sure that the program is
accredited. That's so important.
Yes.
Lastly, you said that there's like a next month is engineering month or something like that?
Next month in February is actually National Engineers Week.
Okay.
So February 18th to the 24th is National Engineers Week. So if you go online and you Google National Engineers Week, you'll be able to see that. And there are a lot of companies like in tech that are really reaching out to middle school students, to high school students, to kind of increase their
awareness. Okay. And they'll invite them to come and visit?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
What month what's the week again?
February 18th to the 24th.
February 18th to the 24th. Thanks so much, Adrian. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you very much, Maya.
Yeah. Guys, a round of applause for this phenomenal STEMist over here. I am the phenomenal STEMist. So is he, Adrian Brown.
Thank you.